You ever walk into a sports store, stare at the wall of golf clubs and think, these things better come with a personal butler for that price? That's pretty much where this story begins. Not in some boardroom, but with a regular golfer in one of the coldest countries on Earth wondering why a few metal sticks cost as much as a used car. Finland isn't exactly the place you'd expect a golf revolution to spark. Half the year it's buried under snow, and when summer finally rolls around, it's like a blink and you'll miss it event. A few warm weeks, a couple mosquito-filled rounds, and then back to frostbite. Most golfers there are just happy if they can swing without wearing 3 layers of fleece. But maybe that's exactly what gave this guy perspective. When the season's short, every round counts. And when you're freezing your hands off trying to perfect a 7-iron shot, you start questioning things. Why is this sport so expensive? Why do a few ounces of metal and graphite cost as much as a flight to Spain? While others were just trying to keep their swing smooth through the cold, he was breaking down the economics of the game itself, studying the absurd price ladder that made golf feel less like a hobby and more like an elite membership club designed to drain your wallet one overpriced club at a time. He wasn't mad at the sport. He was mad at the system. $1,400 for a set of irons from Callaway or TaylorMade? Seriously? He did what every curious mind eventually does. He pulled back the curtain. He dug into the materials, the manufacturing, the shipping, the marketing, the endorsements, and what he found was almost insulting. The cost to produce these clubs was only a small fraction of what golfers were paying. The rest was a chain of markups, celebrity deals, and retail inflation that didn't make you hit straighter. It just made someone else's pockets heavier. That realization didn't just annoy him, it inspired him. If the gear itself wasn't the problem, then the system was. So he decided to do something radically simple. Make top-tier clubs without the unnecessary noise. No celebrity faces, no billboards, no tour-only mystique. Just great gear at fair prices. And just like that, Takomo Golf was born. A name that sounded mysterious, even sleek. And in a way, that fit. It came from a cold country, but burned with rebellion. The first thing that really stood out about Takomo wasn't the product itself. It was the attitude behind it. While the big brands were busy yelling about their new technology, AI-powered precision, and revolutionary feel, Takomo took the opposite route. No grand promises, no buzzwords, just a calm, confident message that said, "We're not here to rip you off. We're here to make sense." Their website looked like something out of a modern design studio. White space, clean edges, subtle fonts, zero flash. The clubs mirrored that same philosophy. Simple, sharp, and functional. No racing stripes pretending to add speed. No glossy fake carbon fiber that screams marketing gimmick. Just pure, cold precision that looked like it belonged in a Scandinavian art museum. There's even a word for that kind of mindset, sisu, a uniquely Finnish form of quiet toughness. It's not loud or showy. It's about pushing through, doing things right, and letting the results speak louder than any slogan ever could. The first release, the Iron 101, dropped in 2021, right in the middle of a global pandemic. Talk about timing, right? But here's the twist, that timing couldn't have been better. COVID-19 turned the world upside down, but it did something oddly beneficial for golf. While stadiums went silent and gyms shut their doors, golf quietly became the escape everyone needed. It was outdoors, naturally distanced, and gave people a sense of normalcy when everything else felt like chaos. Suddenly, golf wasn't just for retirees or weekend hobbyists. Accountants, college students, even people who'd never swung a club in their life were lining up for tee times. Courses were busier than ever, but retail stores were locked up tight. So what did everyone do? They turned to the internet. The world's golfers, both new and returning, started buying gear online, and Takomo, a brand built entirely for the digital age, was waiting right there at the perfect moment. And this is where Takomo quietly outplayed everyone. They didn't need retail stores or middlemen. They were built for e-commerce from day one. While the big brands were scrambling to adapt, Takomo already had the system in place. Direct-to-consumer, transparent pricing, and simple options. But they knew they had a perception problem. Golfers are a loyal bunch, and loyal is a polite word for stubborn. Most won't even switch balls, let alone try a new brand of clubs they've never touched. So Takomo came up with a plan. Instead of begging people to trust them, they gave them a risk-free way to do it. You buy the clubs, test them on your own course, and if they don't feel right, send them back. No hassle, no guilt. It flipped the traditional model upside down. Instead of trying before buying, you buy before trying. But with total freedom to change your mind. That move built instant credibility. Suddenly, golfers were taking chances, and once they did, they were hooked. The reviews started rolling in, not from glossy magazines, but from real players. Reddit threads lit up with golfers saying things like, "These feel better than my $1,200 Mizunos," or, "I didn't expect much, but wow." YouTubers followed, small channels first, then bigger ones, testing Takomo clubs head-to-head against legacy brands. And the results were often shockingly close. Some even favored Takomo. Now, that doesn't mean Takomo reinvented the golf club. They didn't pour millions into some new tungsten-injected AI-face titanium miracle. What they did was smarter. They took what already worked, refined it, and stripped away the waste. It's like building a Tesla without the ludicrous mode. All the performance, none of the pretense. Of course, the golf establishment wasn't thrilled. Traditionalists said Takomo was just a copycat brand, piggybacking on decades of R&D from the giants. And to be fair, there's truth there. Companies like Titleist and TaylorMade spend absurd sums refining club design. But here's the flip side. Innovation isn't always about invention. Sometimes it's about efficiency. You don't need to reinvent the wheel if you can make it spin smoother for half the price. Even big-name reviewers like Rick Shields, arguably golf's most trusted voice, gave Takomo serious attention. His verdict? The clubs performed. The feel was solid, the look was classy, and the price, unbeatable. Sure, he pointed out that brands like Callaway drive innovation, but he also acknowledged something important. The average golfer doesn't need a research lab, they need reliability. Then came the influencer era, but instead of paying people to read a script, Takomo did something clever. They gave creators equity, not a check, but ownership. So when golf YouTubers like Grant Horvat or the Bryan Bros featured the brand, they weren't shilling, they were invested. Literally, that changed the tone. The conversations sounded authentic because they were. And in a space where every other video feels like an ad, that made Takomo stand out even more. It was risky though. Pitching your brand to creators means you live and die by their reputations. If they go off the rails, you go with them. But it also builds trust faster than any billboard could. You don't need to see Tiger Woods swing a club to believe in it anymore. You just need your favorite YouTuber to say, "Yeah, this thing's legit." Meanwhile, Takomo kept expanding. They added the 201 line, slightly more refined, still forgiving. Then the 301 megabytes, a pure muscleback for better players. The Skyforger wedges came next, sleek and precise. Every release felt deliberate, not rushed. They didn't dump 20 models at once. They released what golfers actually wanted. Behind the scenes, the brand kept the same philosophy. They used factories in Hong Kong that already produced for major brands. Same machines, same materials, different price. That's the part that blows people's minds. Takomo didn't cheap out. They just skipped the middle layers. It's like realizing the same jeans you bought for $180 at a fancy boutique are made in the same factory as the $60 ones you found online. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now, of course, there are limits. If you're a low single-digit handicap player chasing every bit of feel and precision, Takomo's not going to replace your custom-fit Titleists overnight. But for 90% of golfers, they're a revelation. You get something that looks like a pro club, feels like a pro club, performs like a pro club, without having to sell your car to afford it. And that's the brilliance of it. Takomo isn't trying to be everything for everyone. They're carving out a lane for players who care about quality but hate the markup circus. It's golf without the ego. There's also something poetic about a Finnish company doing this. Finland is known for its design ethos, clean, functional, and honest. Think Nokia phones, Marimekko prints, or even IKEA's Nordic cousin vibe. Takomo carries that DNA into golf. No over-design, no shiny gimmicks, just performance that speaks quietly but clearly. And as of now, they're not slowing down. Drivers are in testing. fairway woods and putters are on the roadmap. Their 5-year goal? Build an entire bag lineup that rivals the big guys piece by piece. What makes their story so refreshing is how grounded it is. This isn't a tech startup chasing unicorn status. It's a small team obsessed with building something fair, something logical. And in an age where premium often means pointlessly expensive, that feels almost rebellious. Golf, as a culture, has always been tied to status. The courses, the outfits, the gear, all symbols of who you are, or at least who you want to appear to be. Takomo throws a quiet middle finger to that idea. Their message says, you don't need to spend like a CEO to play like one. And honestly, that's why they resonate with so many players. The best part? They didn't need to shout. No huge campaigns, no celebrity endorsements, just word of mouth, performance, and a healthy dose of internet buzz. They grew not through massive TV commercials, but through YouTubers, Reddit threads, and golfers texting their buddies, "Dude, you need to try these." That's the power of modern storytelling. It's not about who spends the most, it's about who earns the most trust. And Takomo did that the hard way, by delivering. So next time you walk past those glossy display racks filled with clubs that promise 10 more yards and game-changing spin rates, remember the quiet brand from Finland that called the industry's bluff. A guy who just wanted to play golf without going broke ended up shaking one of the most tradition-heavy industries in sports. That's not luck, that's focus. Maybe the lesson here isn't about golf at all. Maybe it's about every industry where luxury pricing hides simple truth. That quality doesn't always require a markup. That sometimes the best innovation isn't new technology, it's honesty. Takomo proved that you don't need to be a giant to challenge one. You just need to care enough to make sense. And that's why this story matters. If you enjoyed this, hit like, not because of the algorithm, but because every time you do, it helps real stories like this reach more people who are tired of overpaying for hype. And if you know someone who loves golf, or just loves underdogs, share this with them. Who knows, the next time they hit the course, they might be swinging something that started as a spark in a frozen Finnish workshop.